Y'all listening to 107 KSK The Beat. I'm your host, DJ Ice Crush Cube, coming with you live with them truth bombs and them beats. Gonna talk to you guys about reparations and the importance of giving money to every single black person in America because of slavery. First off, I want to first send out my condolences to all of the unarmed black men shot by racist police officers and other people as well. Let's talk about Trayvon Martin. Let's talk about Tamar Rice. Let's talk about George Floyd. Rest in peace. Let's talk about Jacob Blake. Let's talk about Rashard Brooks. Let's talk about all of these folks out here, man. Let's talk about Breonna Taylor. We can't forget our homegirl, Breonna Taylor. And I think for this right here, like what's going on right now, and I'm going to tell you guys right now because I got the power of this microphone, we need reparations. We need reparations, y'all. That's the justice that we are duly owed. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that's my impersonation of the provocateur who is pushing for reparations, the type of radio host that you would see, I don't know, somewhere in the south side of Chicago. So there is now, and I think this happens every single year, there is now this push for reparations. We see this all the time. I have been seeing this talk about reparations. I've been hearing about reparations since I was in junior freaking high, okay? This has been going on since the 1980s. People, political provocateurs, instigators, nonsensical armchair revolutionaries, and really mindless ideologues pushing for this idea that every black person in America is owed tons and tons and tons of money because of slavery. And the whole thing is completely ridiculous, but the Biden camp is now entertaining the idea of reparations. I don't know if it's going to materialize into something, but it is stirring people up. And if reparations becomes a serious issue to the point where it looks like it's on the verge of actually becoming real and coming into fruition, it's going to cause a tremendous amount more polarization, a tremendous amount of anger and vitriol and tension between both of the political factions of this country. There is already a tremendous amount of political instability and polarization in this country. We saw that just a few days ago at the Capitol building when thousands and thousands of right-wing fanatics breached the Capitol building. A police officer was murdered. There were people screaming, "Hang Mike Pence." It was horrific. It really was horrific. We've never seen anything like this. They say, the British stormed the Capitol building in 1814. Yeah, that was a war with Great Britain. Oh, in 1915, somebody put a bomb in the Capitol building. Yeah, that was a bomb. That was terrorism. Oh, in 1952, a group of Puerto Rican nationalists stormed the Capitol building with guns, and they were, furling the Puerto Rican flag. Yeah, that was bad. That was terrorism, absolutely. But we have never seen a mob of thousands of American citizens storming the Capitol building. So this country is already deep enough in political tension and polarization and division. But once you start talking about reparations, and I know we've been hearing about reparations for decades now, but if reparations becomes a serious matter to the point where it even looks like it's about to pass, I mean, you're asking for serious problems. You're asking for trouble. It's going to really act as a inflammatory topic, and it's going to inflame people even more, enrage people even more, because they're going to think and they're going to say, well, I'm a white man. I have absolutely nothing to do with slavery. So why am I getting harassed? And then they're going to say, well, this is racism against white people. And this is black supremacy. And then they're going to be pissed off. And it's not going to help anything. It really isn't. It really isn't going to help anything. But I thought I would read to you guys this article from NBC News because I thought it was just hilarious. I think these articles are hilarious, but they're not. They are funny until something serious actually happens. So let's read this article, everyone. This is from NBC News, and I find this to be just hysterical. A bill reintroduced in the House this week to create a commission to examine reparations for the African American descendants of slavery is being seen by many as an early test of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's proclaimed commitment to tackling structural oppression. The commission of 13 people would be tasked with examining the history of slavery in the United States and the systemic racism that resulted, including federal and state governments' role in supporting it, and recommend appropriate remedies to Congress. The bill, known as H.R. 40, was reintroduced Monday by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, as a Texas Democrat. Given the role that black people played in the election, getting him nominated and saving his campaign, there's no reason they shouldn't support this bill, Mary Frances Berry, a professor of history at the University of Pennsylvania, said of Biden and Harris. This is one of the best ways to make good on their promise to attack systemic racism and white supremacy and elevate the economic and social condition of black people. Basically, what that means is, since we got you elected, you owe us free stuff. That's exactly what this is about. That's exactly what this woman is saying here. We got you elected, so pay us back. We ain't going to vote for you unless there's something in it for us. You know what I'm saying? Support for the bill has grown steadily since it was introduced in 1989 by then Representative John Conyers, Democrat from Michigan, when 23 representatives co-sponsored it. Conyers reintroduced it every year until his death in 2019 when Lee first reintroduced it. It now has 173 co-sponsors. Despite such support, the bill has yet to be brought to a full vote. Yeah, because they're trying to prevent a freaking race war from happening. Lee called the bill, quote, a crucial piece of legislation because it goes beyond exploring the economic implications of slavery and segregation. The call for reparations represents a commitment to entering a constructive dialogue on the role of slavery and racism in shaping present-day conditions in our community and American society, she said in a statement. It is a holistic bill in the sense that it seeks to establish a commission to also examine the moral and social implications of slavery. Biden has not endorsed the bill by name. Of course not, because he's trying to prevent a freaking race war. I mean, plus it would look terrible on him. Remember, Biden did not want to use the term defund the police. Remember that? There was a conversation between him and some civil rights leaders, and he said, listen, let's stop using the term defund the police. It just doesn't look good on us. Republicans destroyed us on that. It was really bad PR for us. Let's not use it anymore. And so the Democrats are now using police reform instead of using defund the police. But when they say defund the police, what that really means is reallocate funds to pay some psychiatrists in Berkeley and Oakland somewhere. It says here, Biden has supported a study of what form reparations could take. A statement on the Biden-Harris website states that the administration will, quote, address the systemic racism that persists across our institutions today. In his victory speech, Biden promised to have black Americans' backs. That commitment, however, has long been tainted by his role in the 1994 crime bill. Yeah, the crime bill really isn't that bad. People are like, oh, Biden's a racist. You have lefties saying this and righties saying this. Well, Biden did the crime bill. It's like, well, have you actually looked into what the crime bill was about? It wasn't about arresting black people. It was about fighting crime. And it even addressed issues of domestic violence and a whole bunch of other problems that plague American inner cities. It's not racist, okay? It's not racism. So, yeah, they're talking about reparations. It's a terrible idea because what they're saying is, well, black people got you in office, so you owe us money. Well, so millions of blacks voted for Joe Biden. Every single black person who voted for Biden can be proven to be the descendant of a slave. Let's say that's true. So what? So what? Who cares? Oh, America had slavery. So? I mean, slavery is bad, yes, but does that mean that present day white people are all of a sudden responsible for slavery? Does that mean all of the politicians in the American government today have a responsibility for slavery? The greatest way to just let me just rephrase. I don't want to say this is the greatest way, but one of the ways that we can surpass the history of this country in regards to racial strife is to stop bullying people over it. So if people are being bullied over, if people are being constantly told they're racist, or I don't know, if you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, you're a racist, or if you don't agree with reparations, then I think you're a racist, or something like that. If people keep attacking the police and they keep saying like, well, the police officers are just they're just the arm of a systemic racist system. Like, and also, if we could just stop with the rioting, please, and destroying businesses and destroying property, we could definitely make some advancements. We could definitely better our society, because then it wouldn't be about, well, these other people did this and these people destroyed property, or these people hate white people. It would be like, hey, these other people are pretty cool. They're nice to me, even though we may disagree politically. We're nice to each other. But that's not going to happen, because the bottom line is that political differences equals strife and tension and conflict. If people disagree with each other, when people disagree politically, what that really means is that each person wants their political paradigm to dominate. And you can't have that without conflict and strife. So it's impossible to get rid of this perpetual conflict. It's impossible, because you're always going to have people with a political paradigm who want to dominate, and they will use whatever there is necessary, or they will use whatever means they have to do it. And if that includes getting black people riled up, they'll do it. If that includes causing political strife, they'll do it, because that's all this is going to do. This whole reparations thing is not going to help anyone. It just won't. Oh, you got free money? Oh, you got some free money. What are you going to do with it? You're going to go spend it all in one day. You're going to help the economy out a little bit, but I guess that's the only thing good that would come out of this. But you're just going to piss off a whole bunch of other people. You're going to make other people feel disenfranchised, because then people are going to say, well, what about the Irish? The Irish were persecuted. Oh, what about the Italians? I mean, the biggest lynch mob in history was done against Italians. What about the Chinese people? Chinese people were persecuted. What about Mexicans were persecuted in this country? There was a huge deportation policy that was done under Hoover. I think over 1 million Mexicans were rounded up and deported, and many of them were American citizens. What about that? I mean, what about reparations for those people? So it just opens up a Pandora's box that we shouldn't want to get into. And then you're going to have a bunch of righties who are going to be so pissed off, they're going to lay an egg over this whole issue. And people are going to be like, well, these black people got free money. That's all these black people are about. They're just about free stuff. It's just about stealing from the white man. And guess what you're going to create? You're going to create more racism. So in the name of fighting racism, you're actually creating more racism. This is why I say a lot of people, when they say, oh, I'm for this political issue, a lot of people are really the opposite of what they claim to be. And a lot of people support what they claim to be fighting against. So all these people who are like, oh, we got to fight racism by giving reparations, you're actually supporting racism. Because all of the racists who argue things like, well, black people just want free stuff, and black people just want to take things from the government dole, and black people are just draining the white man, you are literally fulfilling their suspicions. You are proving them right. And you've just created propaganda to support racism. One of the most dangerous things about racists is that they preach truth. That's the most dangerous thing about them. Because when even though they mix it with lies, when they start preaching truth, when they start preaching things that other people can see and agree with, man, that's dangerous, because now you have a mob. What is a mob? A mob is a bunch of people who think they're right. I mean, essentially, that's what a mob is. It's a bunch of violent people who are pissed off about something, and they believe collectively that their justification for being angry is correct, and it's based on reality. I mean, people say that the presidential election was stolen and that Trump should have won, and that may be true. But the reality is that the Republican camp, the camp of Trump, was unable to successfully prove that. Even with all we have all these files, we have this entire written down argument to prove that the election was stolen. But then if you look at it, it's like, well, there's not a whole lot of evidence here. There's some affidavits, yes, but those aren't really substantial. There wasn't a whole lot of substantial evidence to prove voter fraud and to prove cheating. But a bunch of people get a mob, they gather together, and they think they're right. And even if it's true that the election was stolen, that doesn't justify violence, because violence only breeds more violence. If a bunch of righties kill a bunch of people, guess what? A bunch of lefty fanatics come out and say, well, these people killed people, we can kill them too. Now they're open targets. It doesn't lead to anything good. We have seen this so many damn times. We can go all the way back to the Lebanese Civil War. How did that begin? Some Maronites were killed by Muslims. Maronite thugs murdered a whole bunch of Palestinians on a bus. Some Christians were found dead in a car in front of an electric company somewhere. All of a sudden, some Maronite phalangist fascist gathered hundreds of Shiite Muslims and cut their throats. Shiites started doing the same thing to Christians, and it just spiraled into a damn war. A civil war that lasted decades. And it came to the point where it seemed like it was never going to end. I don't want to see this in this country. I don't want America to become Lebanon. I don't want America to become Syria. I don't want America to become Iraq. I don't want America to become Ukraine. I don't want it. I don't want to see America become what Yugoslavia became in the 1990s. I don't want to see it. I don't give a damn how much you worship your orangutan in a suit. I don't want to see it. Life's too short for that bullshit. Anyway, those are my thoughts. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.